Okay, here we go. So, for those joining a little bit later, not joining live, just skip ahead a few minutes, okay? I'm going to be welcoming people in and sending out some social media stuff and, doing all that generally unprofessionally, at the beginning of the stream instead of before the stream. So anyway, yeah, skip ahead a little bit. I'm going to get the URL to share out. Okay. Where are we going? Discord. Okay. And if you do join in while I'm doing this, I apologize. Okay. All right, so that's out. Maybe we'll throw something on Twitter as well. Let me see if I'm missing anything. Lady Sweden, hello. Okay. All right. So, are you tragic to be first? Like, is this like, oh, I'm the first one to join or to show up at the party, so I'm a loser because I was the first one. So, anyway, I'm happy to have you both here. This is, I think it's gonna be fun. I hope it's gonna be a lot of fun. Oh yeah, you like those, the leather bounds. I like them quite a bit. I'm very excited for the Way of Kings leatherbound, but I have to admit I'm a little bit scared that I'm not going to hear about it in time, and I won't get in on like the tier that I want for the what do they call it? What are they doing? The crowdfunding thing, whatever it's called. Anyway, hey Cody, how's it going? By the way, we are going to get started on the Tolkien stuff here pretty soon, but I'm going to give it a few minutes, just, give people a chance to get tuned in. So, yeah, bear with me for a little while, and we'll speak amongst ourselves. Kickstarter, that's the one I was looking for. Super Chat. We definitely don't need Super Chat around here because I don't have enough people tuning in to my streams for that. But this could be fun. I hope it'll be fun. Okay. Oh. All right. Looks like we got a few people. For some reason, my YouTube studio thing says that there's only one person here. For some reason, anyway, so I don't know exactly how to YouTube studio thing says that there's only one person. The next episode, Emily, is there a better way to pronounce Emily if I were YouTube studio thing says or Swedish? The next episode, better way to Ryan and I recorded yesterday YouTube with Veronica or Swedish. The next episode, better way to Ryan and I recorded yesterday YouTube with Veronica or Swedish. The next episode, everything is better. There is a good reason for that, by the way. Or sweet. Anyway, yes. So the next episode featuring the next everything is back. There is a good reason for that, by the way. Or sweet. Anyway, yes. So the next episode featuring the next everything is back. There is a good reason for that, by the way. Or sweet. Anyway, yes. So the next episode featuring the next everything is back. There is a good reason for that, by the way. Or sweet. Anyway, yes. So the next episode. Now look, everything is back. There is a good reason. You can go out on it. And yes, now look, everything is back. There is a good reason. You can go out on it. And yes, you're probably somebody now by yourself. There is a good reason. You can go out on it. And so I would not be able to. You're probably somebody now by yourself. There is a good reason. You can go out on it. And so I would not be able to. You're probably somebody now by yourself. Okay. Oh, how's that? How's that? So much echo? Echo, stop. Echo, go away. Echo, no mo echo. Is it any better? Tell me what's going on. Let's see if I can hear it. Better? Better. Okay, sorry. I don't know what was happening there. Sound is horrible. Yeah, sorry about that, everybody. Okay, so as I was saying, Bob, if you're the type of person who is scribing the Grimm's fairy tales, you're probably up to speed on what we're going to be talking about today. I would guess. If you're a Tolkien fan and you have read any of the appendices with any sort of attention to detail, then you probably have heard a lot of this. This is mostly just for fun, for those who enjoy Tolkien but maybe want to get a little bit of taste of what it's like to really go through the appendices with a fine-tooth comb and learn a little bit about it. Anyway, so if you're already a huge fan of that sort of thing. I know why it did the echo. Anyway, yeah, if you're already a big fan of that, then this probably won't be like earth-shattering or anything. It's mostly just to have a little bit of fun and enjoy some Tolkien stuff. Sorry, you missed the answer for your question. I apologize. The next episode coming up is Dark Lord of Dirkholm by Diana Wynne Jones, featuring, this is an Author's Shelf episode that Ryan and I did yesterday with Veronica Roth. So you know Veronica Roth as the author of the Divergent series, a YA kind of dystopian sci-fi series. But she just wrote a fantasy book that is more adult-oriented. It just came out last month. It's called Chosen Ones. And anyway, so she's kind of out promoting that book. And so she came on our show yesterday. And I'll put that episode out on Monday. That'll be the next one. I think the one after that will probably be a Lord of the Rings episode. Blue Team did 2 in a row for Turncoat, Dresden number 11. And so I want to try to give them a little bit of a break. So hopefully we can do Lord of the Rings book 6 next weekend and put that out the following week. Okay. Okay. Sorry about. Oh my gosh, I'm shockingly embarrassed about all that. Okay, need to go through the first stage books. That's true. We do need to go through the first stage books at some point. I have a secret about the first stage books, but I'll save it for later. Okay, so let's see. I think we've given enough people a chance to pop in. We've got a baker's dozen of us here. So if you guys would like, we can... No break, more... Yeah, okay, there's Texas Blade. Texas Blade is in the house. We're not allowed to talk about anything but Dresden, so we're going to be talking about the fairy alphabet from the Dresden Files today. Yeah, got to give you a hard time, because you're always in... what's the thing with all the pictures? Instagram. Bugging me about Dresden Files. Okay, so let's talk. Do you guys, by the way, if you don't have one, I would suggest that you grab a piece of paper or something that you can draw on. If you have like a tablet or something that you can draw on, then grab something to follow along with, because it'll be a lot more fun if you actually do it yourself. So I am going to show you some of what I will do, but it'll be fun if you can draw along with me. So here's what we're going to do. First, let me grab also my copy of The Lord of the Rings. It was my... If you've never seen it before, I know... Sorry, it's a little backwards. The reason, by the way, I told you there's a reason for this, and that's because my screen that I'm going to be drawing on is over here, and if my camera wasn't flipped, then I would look like I'm going over here, but all the stuff would be happening on this side of your screen, and so that's why I flipped it. Anyway, so this is my copy of The Lord of the Rings. This is the second one I ever owned, and it is a film copy, which I know a lot of people aren't huge fans of, and generally I avoid them, but I don't have a huge problem with them. But if you've never seen it before, this is the copy of The Lord of the Rings that I went through with colored pencils and color-coded all of the dialogue. And so every character has their own dialogue color. And what this did, it did two things. I did this when I was 18, went through the entire book and color-coded all of the dialogue. It did two things. First of all, it made me slow down and actually read every word on the page very carefully. And so that was worth it in and of itself. It probably took me, I want to say 3 or 4 months to go through the entire book this way. But the other thing it did, and the reason I love having this copy around, is because if I remember that there's a character who said something, there's a quote I want to find, a moment I want to find, and I know that it was Gimli who said it, then I go to, whatever chapter round about there, and anything in brown I'm going to check because I know that's Gimli. And so I can really, really quickly go through the book and search for quotes. Anyway, so everything is in gray. Gandalf got gray, obviously. So anyway, so that's what we're looking at now. And I'm going to flip all the way to the back. This is Appendix E. So if you have your own copy, flip to Appendix E. And we're going to page 1092. Again, this will be backwards for you, but I'll put something up on screen so you can kind of see it. This is the Tengwar. 1092. That's true. Sorry, yeah. Quick aside, Horizon Brave uses Evernote for book notes so you don't kill the physical book, and also makes it essential to search keywords. That is one reason why I love Kindle for searching stuff. That's good. But this is my second ever copy out of about 30 that I've probably purchased over the years. A lot of those were gifts, right? But I have a lot of copies of Lord of the Rings, so I'm not worried about one of them getting more destroyed. Anyway, so yeah, flip to 1092, Appendix E. We're going to be talking about the Tengwar. The Tengwar is the lettering system that was created by Feanor. And Feanor was the mightiest elf of the First Age, etc., etc. And he created this alphabet that the elves still use in the Third Age. It's been modified a little bit by then. Certain symbols end up representing slightly different sounds, etc., etc. But the most common form of that we see is this one right here. You should be familiar with this. This is the ring rhyme that is inscribed on the One Ring, and so this is what Gandalf finds when he throws the ring in the fire in the fire in Frodo's hearth. So this is what shows up. This is the ring rhyme. The douchiest elf. Oh, I don't know about that. Anyway, he's a proud elf. The ring rhyme, this is just 2 lines of it, right? So the whole thing is, 3 for elven kings under the sky, etc., etc. But these 2 lines are One ring to rule them all, one ring to find them, and we can see that right here. One ring to rule them all, one ring to find them, one ring to bring them all, and in the darkness bind them. And this is what we're going to be talking about. So like I said earlier, if you are already a huge fan of Tolkien and you've gone through and you know Tengwar back to front, then congratulations. This won't teach you anything. This is for those who haven't really gone through the back of the book that closely. And so, and if by the way, if you are one of those people, if you're a true Tolkien scholar and I screw something up, let me know. Hit the comments and tell me. So that's just fine. But I think we're on pretty firm footing with this stuff. So what we're going to be doing is going through here and deciphering and just showing you how much fun I think it is. And hopefully I win a convert or two among you as well, who might find this kind of interesting and want to dive in as well. So if we're looking at these, it kind of, you can see that, yeah, there's different letters, but I have no idea how to interpret them, and there's such squiggly lines and all that stuff. Well, that's true, but if we go, here, I'm going to go back so I can pull something else up here. If we look at those letters, what we're looking at with the ring rhyme is Tolkien's version of elven, yeah, it would be elven calligraphy. And so it's very ornate. I don't even know about very ornate, but it's more ornate than just the regular letters, right? So if I pull up, here we go. Let's do this. If I pull up my screen here, and I do like my name. Here's an approximation. So it's hard to do with a mouse, you know? Anyway, so like those are just the letters, right? But then if you want to do like cursive, you can do cursive and it gets kind of weird, right? Anyway, so it's the same thing with that script. So if we look here, we have the actual letters themselves, just kind of in their basic forms. They could be even more basic than this. This is slightly stylized. Like we have, you know, a few little extra hooks here that you don't technically need. So let's go back to our ring rhyme and just take the first little bit. Okay, so if we're looking at this a little bit, first of all, these two little marks right here, these are not letters. This is punctuation. And if we look at punctuation in Tengwar, we have two basic types. We have a half stop and a full stop. So basically this would be like a comma and this is a period. And so that would be the stylized version of a period. Now, if it feels weird to have punctuation before, don't let it feel weird. Just think of Spanish, right? Like in a question, when you're writing a question out in Spanish, you put the upside down question mark first, then put the question, and then put the question mark at the end, and it's kind of just a way to signal where you're at before you even start. Pretty smart. I'm a little bit jealous of Spanish in that way, but oh well. We have what we have. So, Jean-Luc. Oh, I hope you enjoy it. I hope it's fun. It's not meant to be anything that's like going to tax your brain. Don't worry. We might get to some stuff that if you've never taken a linguistics course or anything, there might be some new things as we get into this, but hopefully it's just fun, right? So, okay, so we've got our punctuation. We're starting from a full stop, so this is the beginning of a sentence. Or the beginning of a thought. It's actually, we'll get to why it might be missing some punctuation, but for the sake of aesthetics, I think he just left it off. Okay, so first thing we have here is this kind of C with a double, it's like a 3-story C. All right, what is that? So first we got to memorize the ring rhyme, right? So raise your hand, class, if you can recite the ring rhyme in the black speech. It's okay if you can't. It goes, Ash nazg dur batuluk, ash nazgim batul, ash nazg thrakatuluk, ach burzum ishi krim batul. So, those are the 4 lines. 1 ring to rule them all, 1 ring to find them, 1 ring to bring them all, and in the darkness bind them. And those are the 4 lines we have. So we're just going to take the first one for now, Ash nazg dur batuluk, and look at what we're dealing with here. So, the first word is ash. And how do we create that word? Well, let's go back to, this person created a nice little cheat sheet for us here. It's not laid out in the same way that Tolkien did it. And so it's Tolkien's chart that he has in Appendix E is actually really, really helpful in some ways, especially if you're studying it in a really formulaic way. But this will still help us quite a bit. If we're looking for our consonants, we need an SH sound. Oh, this doesn't even have it. This is dumb. This is worthless. All right, nope, we're getting rid of this. Going back to the book. Do I dare flip it around? All right, so if we look in Appendix E, I'm going to go to find the symbol that we're looking for. Now, what we're looking for is this one, column 3, number 11, and that is our SH sound. All right, so there is an extra thing here, and we're going to get to that a little bit. But essentially what we're looking at is this symbol, which is our SH sound. So we've got our SH sound. There is an extra little tail on that, and that's fine. It's that extra tail tells us something more about the consonant. I believe it's gives it more of an aspirated voice, if I remember correctly. But the point is SH. All right, so now we need the ah sound. And to create that in Tengwar, we have our consonants are going to be on this line right here, and then our vowels are going to be on this line up here. And so the superscript is where we get our vowels. So when you see that in the ring rhyme, that is your ah sound. Osh. Okay, so now we've already got osh. And so you can take that. Now we're already starting to see, like, you can have some fun with Tengwar if you want to use it as some kind of, like secret code language and write letters to your high school sweetheart or something like that. Like you can. So now we're beginning to see that you can take the sounds that we normally use and kind of transpose them into here. You could have some fun with that, right? So ash. And then if we need the N, well, let's look at the next bit. All right, so we've got a whole bunch of squigglies going on. Well, if you look forward a little bit, here's our, oops. Oh yeah, you can see it. If we look forward a little bit, here's our next vowel. So that's going to be just like that vowel, ah. And so if we take the ring rhyme, ash, nazg, and we know now that the vowel goes on the preceding consonant, right? So this vowel, this A, comes before this SH. And now, all right, so this symbol must be the consonant that comes after the next A. Ash, nazg. Okay, so we've got a Z, A, Z. And so this must be our N. And sure enough, if we look in there, we've got our next consonant sound. Where are you? Ash, nazg. Yep, there we go. All right, so if you want to, if you're in your copy of Lord of the Rings, you can flip forward. He doesn't label them on that page, but you can read the next little bit. Okay, and then he tells you what the chart actually means in the text. Okay, so now we know this is our N. We're starting to decipher this a little bit. Ash. All right, so this is the way that he writes it. Like I said, this is like Elvish calligraphy, right? If we just did the regular letter, you could just do this, and that's your N in Tengwar. But that's not as pretty. So, and it kind of looks like an M. All right, so now we've got our N, and like I said, ash, nazg. Okay, we need the A to come before the Z, so there's our Z. Ash, nazg. There you go. Nazg. Oh, we need our G. My apologies. So let's go back to it. We're almost done with our second word, and there's our G. This double curl. So every letter in Elvish, or in Tengwar, I should say, is comprised of a line and a curl. Whatever you want to call it. And so this one, we know that this little bit here is a part of that because it doesn't have its own little line. So we have on our SH, okay, we've got a line and then an open curl, right? That was our SH, or I should say the line extends up like that. For our N, we've got our line and then a double curl. That's our N. And so let's see, with the Z, there's our line. The line would be more like this. But because it's kind of cursive or calligraphic, we add it to the last letter. That's what gives us that little bit. So there's our Z. And then with a G, we've got another line like that. And then in this case, it's going to be a little bit weird because we've got our curls, but they have to be closed for the G. So there's our G. So if we want to add that, very simple. Okay. Ashnazg. One ring. There you go. So if you want to impress anybody, you can just use this little bit and show them that you know how to write one ring in Elvish. Okay, so I'm going to pop over into the chat now and just catch up with whatever you guys, if you have any questions or comments or whatever. The douchiest elf. Krimbatul. Yeah. Alvaro, Christopher Lee's reading of that, he recites it in the special features of the DVDs and does a bang up job there, obviously. Okay. Emily, you do need to do a reread of Lord of the Rings. Everybody needs a reread of Lord of the Rings all the time. Okay. Oh, man. Levi, right? Texas Blade. You should do the Silmarillion. Silmarillion, always go in for the first time with your eyes open. Just realize it is not the kind of book you're used to, and you're not ready for it, and you'll have to read it twice. But if you do, you will be rewarded, for sure. The Silmarillion, I have this idea percolating in my head, and I'll run it by you guys. So, if you have an advanced degree, a post-grad degree, then this might be familiar to you. I have this theory, not mine, but I know of this theory that basically an undergrad degree, your bachelor in science or bachelor's of arts, is meant basically to teach you just the vocabulary of some subject, depending on the subject. Some go more in depth into subjects than others and whatnot, but if you're let's say you're going into chemistry or something, then by the time you get your advanced degree, by the time you get your master's or your doctorate, you realize that your undergrad was just teaching you the vocabulary, and then the graduate degree is what taught you how to actually apply all these things and make something out of that education that you had. And I think of the Silmarillion as kind of similar. The first read through, you're not going to get it all. You won't understand all the timelines and the way the family trees fit together unless you're a freaking genius of some kind. But the vast majority of us won't get it that first time. But you'll familiarize yourself with the names and with some of the places and roughly the shape of the story, such as it is that he's telling. And then the second time through, that's your graduate course, where you get to, now you've got the vocabulary and you're putting it into practice. And finally, on that second read through, things start to really blossom, and you understand what it is that you're reading. So yeah, read it twice. Okay. Where are we? Alvaro, if you're impressed by my penmanship, it's mostly because there's a setting in Adobe Illustrator where it'll smooth things out a little bit for you. So I've got that turned on. But I probably spent like a month when I was about 19 years old, just writing Tengwar stuff over and over and over again. Okay. Silmarillion isn't as bad as people say. It's, well, yeah, I mean, depends on what you mean by bad. But, like, if you go into the Silmarillion unprepared and thinking that you're going to be reading something, anything approaching a regular narrative, if you're like, I liked The Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit was fun, let's try the Silmarillion. Like, if you don't go in with your eyes open, it'll throw you to the ground and beat you senseless about the head and neck. So... it's on Audible. I do not recommend the Silmarillion on Audible for the first time. On subsequent, like if you want to go back to it for your third or fourth time and do it on Audible, then it's pretty fun. But okay. On a reread, would you start with Hobbit or Lord of the Rings? I don't know. That's up to you. Once you've read them all, you're good to skip around. Okay, so Ashnaz. Now let's go back and have another look. Okay, so there we go. Let's go back to our ring rhyme. What's our next? Here we go. All right, we don't have any vowels coming up yet. We have another stem here, and then an open double curl. So if we go back, we're going to do another stem. We're connecting it because this is calligraphy, and a double curl. I'm going to run out of room here, and that's fine. We'll go down to the other one. So if we were looking at it just regularly, it would just look like that. And that is our D sound. So, fun fact. If we go back, and this is why... oh, shoot. I lost my place here. This is why when we talk about Tolkien's chart being great, it's great for a reason. Okay, so... obviously, this is going to be backwards, but he has it laid out in a way that... so there's the symbol we're working with. Again, it's backwards, but that's okay. They look right above it, and that is very similar, but it only has a single curl. So if we're looking at that, let me try to save my place here. So if we're looking at that this way, all right, so he groups these two together. Obviously, this one has a single curl, this one has a double curl. So what does that do? Well, he has a whole row of single curl letters. And then the next row down is the double curl version of those. And what he does with that is, this is a D, right? Ashnaz D, Durbatuluk. So this is your D sound. This is a T sound. And so all he does is if a letter is voiced or unvoiced, it has a single or a double curl. And so that's how we know that this is a voiced. If you don't know, and this is where I said, you might learn something if you never took a linguistics class or anything. A voiced consonant would be something like D, and a voiceless consonant would be something like T. Because you can hear that my voice is still working when I say D, 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 but when I say T, 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 my voice stops working and it's just the pure consonant by itself. Anyway, so that's how we know that is a D. And then we get into the next letter, and we're finally getting another vowel here. This is an R, but it's a weak R or a soft R, and that's what Tolkien called an untrilled R. So a weak or a soft R with this nice little tight curl above it, and that's going to represent our oo sound. So we know what's coming up next. Where am I? There we go. So we need our stem. There's our stem. And there's our weak R. And then the vowel that comes after it. You don't need to do quite as much of a curl as he did. He was definitely amping it up a little bit. D-U-R. Dur. All right. I haven't even looked, by the way. Is anybody even still watching this? This must be so boring to so many of you. But you ask for Professor Craig stuff every once in a while, and I'm a slave to the people. So here I am. All right. You know what? I'm actually going to do something a little bit different. Ashnaz. Oh, come on. Okay, I'm going to put this down here. All right. Because that way I hopefully won't run out of room as we go through the rest of this. Okay. D-U-R. D-U-R. We need to get to our next pair. Durbatuluk. All right. So we need a B, and as we know, the double curl often represents a voiced consonant, which is good because we have a B coming up. D-U-R-B. Oh, sorry, I meant to pause on the R and mention that, like I said, it is a what did I say? A weak R. And so if you hear somebody like really hit that R, durbatuluk, that is incorrect. It is a weak R, so you can still roll it, but you won't trill it. Durbatuluk. Anyway, there you go. So there's our B. We know it's a B because it's that B, 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 b is a voiced consonant, and so it's got that double curl there. All right. Let's see. Make sure that is just right. When I went, that was a horrendous curl. That's closer. When I got to college and I was trying to decide what I wanted to study, I landed on linguistics, and it was in large part because when I was 19, I wasn't in school at that point. I was, anyway, I was reading in the back of the book and got really into this, and I'm like, where do I go to learn more about this kind of thing? And it turns out you go to a linguistics department to learn about it. So that's where that whole thing came from. Okay, so now we got our B, durbat. Okay, all right, now we need a T sound. Let's go hunt down our T sound. There's our B. T is pretty easy. So we already talked about the difference between the D, durbatuluk. So if this voiced D sound has two curls, then the T would just have one. All right. So again, we're going to connect those. An open curl. So this represents closing those curls out, and then on this one we're leaving it open. So the G had it closed. Everything else, they have it open. So this one, we've got another vowel to go through though, because durbatuluk, there's an A in there, and the vowel goes over the consonant that follows it. So we use that same symbol, durbatuluk. All right, so that's at, A-T, at. All right, let's hunt down our next little bit. And we're almost done with this phrase. All right, so at ul, durbatuluk. So at ul. So now we know that our vowels are up here and our consonants are down here. This one is going to represent our L. There's a nice little connecting curl that you don't have to have, but it's nice and it makes it look pretty. Okay, so let's go back in. Give ourselves plenty of room on this one. And I'll start the curl. I think it's going to connect somewhere around there. But this one has a vowel as well. The same vowel as we had over here. Ash, naz, du. So we got our U sound. Durbatuluk. So it's going to be the same kind of curl right up there. All right. And then the only other consonant we have is K. And it's not a C. So help me, it's not a C. Durbatuluk. Here's our L, here's our K. This one is going to be closed. And a single, because it is unvoiced, it's a single curl with the downward stem. Oops, wrong one. All right, closing it, giving it a single curl. And this one is going to be, all right, so let's go back and look at it again. So this one, he does put a little flourish on the end, and that's okay. This little symbol right here does modify the vowel, as far as I remember, but not enough for us to worry about. Kind of like, what was it? The extra stem, I think this downward stem right here modifies that. that consonant slightly, but not enough for us to worry about. So we'll include it, but we're going to kind of skip over it a little bit. So this one, we've got the same oo sound. There is a modifier on there. Again, it's not enough. Let's do that a little better. Not enough for us to worry about. And then the last thing on here that we notice is a little dot. What does the dot do? We talked about this at the very, very beginning. That is punctuation. So that is a soft stop. We would think of it probably as a comma. So one ring to bring them all, one ring to find them. That's the two phrases connected by a soft break. So that's how we know this is the end of a phrase, but it's not the end of the idea. Anyway, so there you go. I think, honestly, we could probably just stop there for now. Oh, I just noticed I'm kind of cutting that off just a little bit. There you go. Anyway, no space between words. Yes, space between phrases. And yeah, space between words. But yeah, if we go back, let's go back and look here. No space between words. You can. There's nothing saying that you couldn't do that. But the whole idea of this, the reason Tolkien made it this way, and the in-world reason that Feanor made it this way was that there is something valuable in beauty, right? And so if we look at Cirth, so this is the runic alphabet that Tolkien basically just ripped off of regular runes. He just kind of changed them around a little bit. But if we look at Cirth, it's not the loveliest thing to look at. It's plenty functional, but it's not very aesthetically pleasing. And so when we look at something like this, the whole point of it, not the whole point of it, but a huge chunk of the point of it for Tolkien was to make it nice to look at. And so if you break up the words, is it really going to kill it? No, but it probably, at least in Tolkien's mind, made it more pleasant to look at, a whole phrase kind of flowing instead of being chopped up into individual words. So there you go. It's something that I talk about a lot when I talk about Tolkien's books, is that you can't underestimate, like when Brandon Sanderson talks about the rule of awesome, which is basically, I'm paraphrasing here, but it's when in doubt, err on the side of awesome. So if you have a choice between two things in writing, then you go with the thing that is more awesome. And Tolkien's rule, as an ardent Catholic and a lover of all things beautiful, his rule was often err on the side of beauty. And so I think that's what he was doing here in not breaking up the words. Okay, so let's go. Let's see. Alvaro's still here. I'm impressed. Okay. Little Red, Professor Craig loves you too. Japanese does the same kind of thing. Yeah, I know so little about Japanese, but it does have a very attractive alphabet, I have to say. Okay. No curls. No curls? Where's the stem of the K? The stem on the K is this bit right here that comes down. So the K, we've got our curl. It's a closed curl, so we've got the line on top. Here's the curl, and here's the stem of that K. Okay. So yeah, any other questions on that? So if we go through this, Ashnaz Dur Batuluk, now you can see how, and in this version they have kind of separated a few of the letters a little bit. You can see where those letter separations are. The next one is Ashnaz Gimbatul. So now that you know what to look for, you can look at this and see, oh my gosh, this phrase is the same in all three of them. Of course it is. One ring to rule them all, one ring to find them, one ring to bring them all, and in the darkness bind them. That one's going to be the different one. So we know Ash, A-S-H-N-A-Z-G. Ash Nazg is going to show up in every single one of these. Ash Nazg. Ash Nazg. So now we know that this latter half is the only part that actually changes between them. So ashnazg, and then gimbatul, ashnazg, dorbatuluk, ashnazg. We get the G here, and then the G repeats. Gimbatul. And then we've got the hard stop there. Ashnazg, drakatuluk, ach. Doesn't matter. Ach burzum ishi grimpatul. So we're not going to get to all that now. But there you go. So that is your basics. Just if I were actually teaching a course on Tengwar, then that wouldn't be the way we'd approach it. But but the whole point of this is just to show you that like you can go into the appendices if you like consuming your literature in this way. And I mean, we're all a bunch of epic fantasy or high fantasy fans. Then the appendices to the Lord of the Rings has a ton of stuff for you to sink your teeth into. It could be genealogies, it could be alphabets, could be background histories and all that. There's a reason. None of the appendices exist for no reason, if that makes sense. So let's see. Horizon. The more scientific readers and those who love more hard sci-fi may want to err on the side of practical function. That's possibly true. Very possibly true. Good. Well, we've been going, about 45 minutes now or so. And so I feel like we're at a decent stopping point. I mean, I could stream all day. I've got no problem with that. But we've reached the end of what I wanted to get to with this. And I hope it has encouraged at least one or two of you to go check out the appendices a little more. Texas, if you weren't ADD, you'd probably get more into this. You still can. Not saying it's not hard, but you still could. So 20 people tuning into this. I did a live stream late last year when Disney Plus came out. I did a live stream on my other YouTube channel, and we were doing a dream job where we were paying people like $1,000 each to watch 30 Disney movies in 30 days on the new platform, and that went bananas. And so I did a live stream that had like 4,000 people tune in or something. I can't remember. It was a crazy number. And so 20, I can do 20. I can manage this. I can see the chat. I can react to the chat. It's simpler to do. So, all right, a few more minutes, and then I'll log off and go get next week's episode ready. Go log back into Discord and hang out with everybody there. Okay. Any last questions about Tengwar or anything else? Okay, cool. Well, thanks everybody for joining in. I hope it was fun. Let me know, whatever platform, hop back on Discord, hit the comments here, whatever. Let me know if it was fun. And if you have any other ideas for stuff you would like me to get into with the Professor Craig thing, don't ask me to do an entire book. Like we're not going to go do The Children of Húrin or something like that. We're not going to do an entire book as a Professor Craig live stream. Those will be reserved for the podcast. But if there's some specific topic you want to get into, family trees or whatever, then we can talk about that. So yeah, let me know and give me ideas, because I never know what other people are going to find interesting. I love this kind of thing. I have no idea if you enjoyed this or if you guys find it interesting. So yeah, you'll have to give me your ideas on what you want to see so that I can make sure that these are fun and interesting. There will be, in the future, I'll do some live streams that will not be public, that'll be patron only. The good news on that is if you enjoy the podcast and you've thought about becoming a patron, if you enjoy these live streams and you want to keep doing them and you're not a patron at this point, it's a minimal requirement. You can do as little as $1 per episode on Patreon, so a maximum $4 a month. And that gets you access to the patron-only chat on Discord. It gets you access to the patron-only live streams, all sorts of stuff. I gave up on the idea of like doing all these tiers on Patreon because I have too many things to keep track of, and I couldn't keep track of that. And so it's just like, if you're a patron, you're a patron, and if you give more, then that's wonderful. And if you can't, or you just want to do $1 an episode, that's wonderful also. So anyway, hopefully that makes sense. Galadriel deep dive is a great idea. Any more word on Dune? Don't ask about Malazan. It's not a... Yeah, no, don't. Don't. Yeah. Malazan is not in the cards right now. There's too many other things that we're really excited to get to. I know a lot of other people are excited about Malazan, but we don't want to do a series of episodes that we're not actually jazzed about. And so I know Ryan's read the first couple of books, and usually when he reads ahead like that, like he did with Brent Weeks, he read Brent Weeks ahead of the podcast and then came back and he was like, you guys, we got to do Brent Weeks. And so we're like, oh my gosh, okay. So we were excited about that. And we're just not there at this point with Malazan. So Alex, I think that Megan should write Tolkien fanfic, and then we read and respond to that. That would be fun. Dune, no more word on Dune yet. I will say, it should come as no surprise. I'm sure she's mentioned it on the episodes. Megan will not be continuing Dune. She just has like less than no interest in doing the last two Frank Herbert books. But I know Todd still, Todd's a fanboy, and Ken is always game for whatever. So I believe they will get to it. But because they're right now doing book 4 of The Expanse, and they're continuing on with Dresden, it's not like a huge priority yet for them. But I know they will get to it. Okay. Now that I said I was going to leave and then took an extra 5 minutes, I think we will call it now. So any other questions, hit me up on Discord or Reddit or wherever, and I'll see if I can answer them. So thanks, everybody. Hopefully I'll be doing these more consistently as we go, but this was a fun one. I enjoyed it. I'll see you guys later.